Spin Radio 107.1, the Valley's alternative.
It's Riley Reed with Spin Radio 107.1, and I have the honor sitting next to Mike Shinoda. Mike, dude, it is such an honor to meet you, man. Like,
thank you.
Huge fan of Linkin Park,
Thanks
big
so
fan
much.
of the new record. Can we talk about like the process of making this as opposed to, you know, the difference of making
art
between
what I'm kind of used to with the band is a little more, we would go, I think we'd have the idea to go block out time, and then you'd kind of fill it with making stuff and coming up with concepts and everything. And this record was really just a reaction to, the year, and it was very like, it was very much like a diary, so I always tell people it's like an autobiographical record or a diary. And the kind of the thoughts, like the concepts and the ideas I had as I was going drove everything. So I just tried my best to capture each of those things as they came up as quickly as I could, and that's why there's so many songs on the record. That's why it came together relatively quickly, like 9 months for me. 9 months to do 16 songs for me is like really fast.
Yeah, so like did you was it all produced by you, or did you have like a whole team, or was this like pretty much a DIY project?
Yeah, it's very DIY.
Yeah.
I had a couple of like little things that I'd say like probably like 90% of it was me. I had a couple little things that a couple friends helped out with, adding this and that. Like a couple guys named Basecamp worked on a song, Nothing Makes Sense Anymore. And then did a song with Grandson called Running From My Shadow.
Yeah.
His friend Boone, who does guitars for him, they write a lot together. The two of those guys came over, and Boone helped out a little bit on that one. And the rest of it was basically, if I'm not mistaken, the rest of it was all me. There was one other thing. Darren King, drummer who used to be in Mute Math.
Oh, yeah.
Darren played on, let's see, Hold It Together.
Okay, cool. Well, back to Grandson. I actually saw him last night. That dude puts on like a hell of a show. And what was it like working with that guy? Because he's got this, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Zach De La Rocha on stage with like how he's so politically driven, but he has such a great message to share. And how was that like collaborating with him? Because he's one of the big, like younger.
Yeah. He's he's probably the only vocalist who's a guest on my record that I didn't already know, and I had just heard a couple of his songs and then followed him on Instagram, and then we just got to talking and eventually hung out, and eventually I invited him over to work on the song. And he's great. I think he's really part of like a new wave of artists, and this kind of like mixed. It's like people want to say like, oh, it's a rock genre or alternative, but I think it's just like it leans into that, but it's always I think for me, like a lot of the stuff I like is very mixed genre, and his stuff is has a lot of hip hop in it.
Mm-hmm. And I've always like said like music is music, you know, like it's good music, like it doesn't really matter what the genre is. And yeah, I mean I like the fact that you were doing so many collaborations on this album. Another one that you worked with was K-Flay, and she's another super like young, talented. So what's it like working with her? Did you get together and actually write the song with her, or did she just like send you the part?
So the way that worked out was I actually met her a few years ago, and we'd started that song around the time that we were wrapping up One More Light, the Linkin Park album, the album One More Light, and it just wasn't coming together. Like it was me and her and Brad Delson, and we had the like chords and the lyrics to the chorus, but and like the melody of the vocal, but the rest of the song was kind of not there. And Brad was kind of like, well, like what do you want to do? Like we've got all this, all these songs that are basically already a record, and then there's this one. And I was like, it's not ready. Like it's going to take some work, and I don't know how exactly where the song needs to go. And as I was making my record, I stumbled on that demo, and it really resonated with me. In fact, I think it's one of Make It Up As I Go is like one of the most pervasive themes, not only in the post-traumatic record, but even beyond the record. Like if you think about it, like from the time that Chester passed away, there was like 9. I made that record in roughly 9 months, and then the time past that, it's been almost half a year, and it's that's a lot of time for more, evolution and change, and like just kind of more of the journey to go on. And this idea of just make it up as I go has been a thing that we all kind of like have been feeling and doing, to the extent that like the shows are a little more improvisational. Some of the stuff that I'm doing is just kind of like things pop up, and we, and I'll act on them. Oh, I have an idea for a music video today. Let's go just shoot it.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, like, I mean, I saw your set list from Montreal, and I saw that you got some stuff from Fort Minor, you got some stuff from Linkin Park, and of course, your solo stuff as well. So, how do you find that balance to, because obviously you want to really promote what you just released, but at the same time you want to entertain the audience.
I want the show to be fun, and I want people, like, I always approach it like, if I'm a fan in the crowd, like, what do I want to see? So, for me, it seemed obvious to include all of those things, and especially one of the questions about the Linkin Park stuff in the beginning was, okay, which songs do I pick, and how do I present them? Like, what's going to be natural for me to do? And I think one of the things that ended up happening was it was usually the songs that I started, like when I did the demo of the song, it was written with my voice already in it, like in the DNA. An easy version of that is like Castle of Glass. Like the original demos of Castle of Glass, it was just me. I made the whole track, I made the whole thing, and I sang the whole thing. And then piece by piece, we started adding other people, and we added, Rob's drum parts. We added, I don't think we actually replaced many of my guitars. I'm not sure. And then we added Chester on the chorus and stuff like that. But the meat and potatoes of that like demo was just me singing the song.
Yeah.
So it feels really natural for me to sing it on stage. And same with a lot of the Linkin Park songs that I'm doing in this set.
And then I'm sure you've got a lot of audience participation.
Of course.
Everybody knows the songs and you start singing it.
Yeah.
Does it still like really feel cool when you see that audience and they're singing along?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like these shows are they're really special. Like there's a vibe, there's like an energy in the room that's so, the emotions are so varied. Like there's a lot of different emotions from song to song, and they're really intense. Like I want the show overall, the show should be fun. Like I want them to have a good time. I want it to be celebratory. I want it to be high energy. And there are those moments where there's moments of tribute for Chester. There's moments of where some people really feel that and they're, emotional. And then and yet other people are like, it's like a nod to that, but also they're just kind of there, they love the song and they're there for the more positive, like celebratory nature. But so I don't ever want to get in the way of anybody's like what they're there for, and I just try and do my best to address it and kind of, direct the show in whatever way seems to fit the audience. Because some audiences come with different like emotions and expectations. Some of them really want to like, you say throw your hands in the air, and this crowd over here, the entire place is like, this other one, or like it's like half, so
it's like sometimes like a religious experience for some people.
Well, yeah. Right? I mean, but it's also like, okay, so that's a different thing. Yeah. So what I was saying was more about like how they're like what's their vibe and how do they want to have fun and enjoy the show. The other thing, is that there is this other layer of like this very, the venues are a little more intimate than most people usually see Linkin Park. So for me to come into, a smaller size venue, I can see every face. Yeah. And, there is that, like, there's an intensity to the whole show. And we have a lot of fun, man. It's like, it's been a really awesome experience. I've got a couple new musicians. I mean, they're not new. They've been doing it for a long time, but they're new in my world. And that's Dan Mayo on drums and Matt Harris on keyboards and guitars and bass and some backup vocals. And it's a really fun combo, because I one of the reasons why I chose those guys is because I really wanted guys who, I wanted as few people on stage as possible, and I wanted to make sure that the other players were really good at improvising and letting, like, so if I just want to go off script and do something interesting, do something weird that night,
they can just vamp.
They can do it.
Yeah.
The guys, the Linkin Park guys, like, they're not, none of us are like music school guys, you know, which is like, it's interesting because we were never a jam band. We were never like that kind of, that improvisation wasn't part of our DNA. And even when I've tried it with the guys, it doesn't really work very well.
Yeah.
So to get with two other guys who do that more naturally, it opens up like a different realm of like possibilities in the show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you made this new album, you did one of your music videos. Was Ghost, right, with the sock puppets?
Puppets, yeah.
So was Boris in Oatmeal? Did you know that you would have like this crazy fandom just for those characters that you created? For
I thought about it. Like when I did it, I thought like, this is, our fans are the type of fans generally that like they'll do, some version of like Flash Mob, or like, they'll bring stuff to the show, they'll do things at the show. And I kind of had a sense that there would be some element of that going on. So that's why, like, eventually I ended up, like, actually very, very early on, after when we were putting the video together, I called the my partners that I do the merchandise with, and I said, we need to make socks. Like, we need to make sock puppets. I'm sure people will make their own, but I would like to have some at the the table outside the venue, or outside in the venue, and they're on the website and stuff like that too. But yeah, people can also make their own, and they bring them in, and like I even had one show. This woman came in with like a full-size Boris costume. Like she was Boris, like doing.
No way, really?
The whole mouth was like this big, and she's like doing this. It's really funny.
That is funny. That is funny. And that all came from your creative side. You have a background in art and design and whatnot. That's what you went to college for.
Right.
So, have you ever thought like, at one point you may stop doing the musician thing and maybe just focus solely on your art? Like, would you ever do like an animated series or something like that?
I love animation.
Yeah.
I really do, and I love it. I love watching it, and I love the kind of the aesthetic and the creativity involved. I don't like the repetitive nature of actually doing the steps in between.
Right, yeah.
And I knew that early on. Like, I did that as a young kid, made flip books and all that stuff, and I would do them for a while, but it's just like so much repetition. So I've thought of like, if I hadn't been in music, I probably would have gotten into that world, but I would have gotten into it in a way that was like more, character creation or storyboard or concept art or something like that was still and on the more fundamental like storytelling level, possibly. But yeah, for right now, I think the things that I'm more like I've been trying to do, besides you're asking like in terms of besides doing the record,
right,
besides being on stage, it's tended to be more like instead of we've got a visitor. Instead of I think if I was to do different stuff, like I'll probably dabble in those things in a way that is like can be worked in with the music, and I really love just like being in the studio and being on stage. Like it's I feel like I get enough of my art stuff out the way we do it here. Like I'm even right now I'm drawing every night on every set list. We do one set list for the show, and I do a draw all over it, and then we make copies of those and extra copies to give out to fans.
That's cool.
I do there's a VIP experience for the tour where fans come and I do like a mural, a little mini mural
I think I
made-
saw that out there. Yeah.
It's made of vinyl, 12-inch vinyl sleeves.
Oh, cool.
So they're all like, you know, in a row, and I paint the whole, or draw on the whole thing, and then fans color in the whole thing, and then they each get to keep one of the vinyl sleeves. So they're all like, I've painted on each one, and there's like little characters on all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just stuff like that. Like, you know, it's been, I'm doing a lot of art these days.
Yeah. Mike, it's been great talking to you, man. Like, this is awesome.
You too.
You can hear Make It Up As I Go on Spin Radio 107.1, also featuring K-Flay, and make sure you check out the new album, Post Traumatic.